Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Hammer, founder of Originator Success, Grab and Go Social, and Rate Sensei. 3 products to help you as originators get more business and make more money in 2026. Be sure to check those out. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as I go live on Facebook and YouTube, talking about what's driving the markets, which way rates are going, all that good stuff. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you're watching on replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay. Today, we're going to be talking about the fact that there's not much to talk about. We'll go over any of the economic data that's on there. We'll talk a little bit about what was said yesterday at the State of the Union address, but this isn't political commentary. We're not going to go deep into that. And we're just going to have a little bit of fun. So if you're here this morning, say good morning. And let me know that you're around. Don't forget to smash that like button. Maybe if you're on Facebook, tag an originator friend. Don't forget to go ahead and share your comments, because your comments, your engagement is what helps me grow and what keeps me going. So let's go ahead and say hi to some of the live folks here this morning as people are rolling in. Good morning, Nicole Semerad and Holly Johnson, Michael Scott Love. Thank you, Sean Segaloff. Appreciate you, my friend. Tom Dedmore, good morning. Mike Brown, Kyle Mazikas, Jared Vincent, Tim Klyla, Will Patterson, good morning. And there you all go. Good morning, David Glenn. All right. Well, the early birds get the worm. Let's go ahead and Ron Siegel says, today we celebrate National Chocolate-Covered Nut Day, but we cannot skip National Chowder Day. Yes, we can. I'm not a corn chowder, nah. Clam chowder, nah. I don't even know what other kinds of chowder there are, but I'm not a chowder person. Anyone a big chowder fan? Let me know in the comments. Anybody a big chowder fan? As far as National Chocolate-Covered Nuts, let's have some fun with that one. Question of the day, what is your favorite chocolate-covered nut? Mine, first thought, almonds. I'm going with a Mounds Almond Joy. What is your favorite chocolate-covered nut? I'm going with almonds, chocolate-covered almonds. Some people like chocolate-covered peanuts. I mean, chocolate-covered peanuts are good too. Reese's suck. Does anyone else think that Reese's have just taste like ass now? Sean, I grew up in Boston. I'm maybe the only person that doesn't like clam chowder from there. Yeah, right? I get you, man. Dark chocolate cashews, Lisa Krempf. All right, I'm feeling it. Nicole Semerad said clam chowder on a ski day is yummy, and almonds for sure. Yeah. Both. Mine is called a turtle. Oh, yeah, turtle. That's chocolate covered with nuts and stuff. So let us know in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And let's have some fun. So anyway, taking a look here this morning. Let's get rid of Ron's comment. Appreciate you, Ron. Always bringing the heat. All right. So this morning, mortgage-backed securities currently down 6 basis points on the day. It's important to note, and I might have to refresh the page after can't scroll. I don't know why it does that sometimes. All right. So it's important to note yesterday, we did the live right about here. Look at where mortgage bonds were. But when pricing came out, look at where pricing was yesterday when look at where bonds were yesterday when pricing came out, right? So yesterday we were looking like it was going to be unchanged, but rate sheets yesterday were actually a little bit worse on the day. If we take a look and use Mortgage News Daily as a reference point, and let me adjust this so I can pull this over a little bit. There you go. So it's funny though. Look at this. Lenders, even though bonds were off a bit, lenders didn't necessarily want to give it up, huh? Look at that. 5.99. Still working the magic, but we actually did see a scenario here where things were a little bit worse as we were coming out with it. So today there was a big drop in overnight trading. You can see this is generally at about 8:30. Things pop right back up again. And we were right back where we were when pricing came out yesterday, right around that same level. Lenders are going to be holding this 599 for at least a little while longer, but be careful because again, you want to start looking at locking some of these loans. these rates, it's not that we're going to see rates move up that much, but this is probably the best pricing we're going to see, at least until and unless next week's labor market data kicks things in the chin. So taking a look here, you can see the 10-year Treasury yield is creeping up a little bit now. We're at 4.05. Yesterday, we finished the day. Let me move this over so that I can squeeze it in the screen here. Again, question of the day, because Ron Siegel says today is National Chocolate Covered Nut Day. What is your favorite chocolate covered nut? Let us know in the comments. And at the end, we will talk about those a little bit more. So yesterday, the 10-year was at 4.03. And the day before, 4.04. Today, it's creeping up, 4.05 at the moment. Again, we're not in danger of seeing rates really move higher, but we are in danger of seeing some of this best level pricing kind of drift a little bit and go back from this 599 back to where we were at the 6.0504. Now, remember, we're talking 5-6 basis points. So even though we get to see some headlines like I know that in his commentary here, Matt Graham said MBS, we've seen the best rates we've seen in more than 3 years. Everything's 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. But it's, I mean, it sounds so grand when you say it that way, but it's really, it wasn't that big of a difference. We're talking a few basis points in rate. However, it's there. Get out there and get some business. Forgive me. Sorry about that. But still looking at locking that in. So anyway, let me go through some of this stuff with you and we'll dial this in. So quick recap. We talked about what happened yesterday. Bonds did end the day. Where are you? Here they are. Bonds did end the day about the same as when pricing came out yesterday. There really wasn't much of a difference. It was right about here, ended the day right about here. You can see that that's basically about the same. Really not much of a difference here this morning. Very close to that, a little bit off, slightly worse. So rate sheets today should be basically unchanged. Could be slightly worse. Just a little dribble if we don't see at least a little improvement. And depending on what time lenders came out with pricing yesterday. Reprice risk on the day is low. Not likely we're going to see much going on. Thank you, Ron Siegel, for the birthday wishes. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you, Tiffany Teal. I'm not a big birthday guy, as y'all probably will figure out pretty quickly. So, but I appreciate you. Anyway, so bonds could drift a little bit lower on the day, but not anything that we really have to worry about. There's really nothing on the economic calendar to worry about. Nothing. I don't even think there's anything at all on the economic calendar. Let me zoom this out a little bit so we can pull that in a little bit. Hold on a second. Is there anything even on the economic calendar for today? No, I mean, look at this. So for today, we got, I know you guys can't see it that clear, but we got nothing really going on. There's a bunch of nothing here. You got the 2-year auction, 5-year note auction. That must be something 11:30, huh? 5-year note auction this afternoon at 1 o'clock. But otherwise, there's nothing going on today. Nothing that we have to worry about. And nothing has really changed in the outlook. The outlook is good. Now, again, how good could rates go from here? Where are they going to go? They're not going to go that much lower, y'all. Rates really have nowhere to go. There's nothing to fuel them. We've got no events happening this week. Next week, we get labor market data. When we get to Friday's BLS jobs data, if it does show weak enough, we could see that give us a little bit of a blip. Remember, this is going to be the jobs data ahead of the March 18th Fed meeting. And that gives us a little bit of traction, but you're not going to see too much at all. So let me throw the lock advice down at the bottom. My advice remains to lock anything that's closing near term. And if it closes in the next 30 days and you like today's rates, I'd consider locking them. But if you don't lock them, there's a good chance we'll see them again. I don't think this is the last time we see this 599 number show up here on Mortgage News Daily. Let me know in the comments if you guys think we'll see these rates again. I don't think that these rates are going anywhere. We're just not in danger. Even if they do creep higher like they did right here, they'll creep back down. We'll see this again. And lenders are going to, this is creating activity. Lenders are incentivized to see this happen because they want that volume. We want that volume, especially as we go into a spring market. There's a lot of pent up demand from a lot of cold weather this winter. And does anyone else agree with me? Let me know in the comments if you agree with me. Give me a thumbs up. I say that the areas of the country, the South, the Midwest, the North, everywhere basically, but that West Coast there. Areas that had a really cold winter, a snowy winter, there's always more of a, all right, let's get out when we have a spring and things thaw and trees start to bloom again. People get out, man. I think it's going to be a hell of a spring market. I think that the weather will definitely get people into the I want more. I want to get out. I want to do it. I want a house. I think we're going to have a good, solid spring market, especially with rates that are down at these levels. I think it really, really helps us. So, as far as how much better, Logan Motoshami has said 5.75, and I can't disagree even a little bit on that. I think that that would be probably the lowest levels for conventional conforming. Now, again, look at VA and FHA over here. Those rates are already below 5.75. You can actually tease to getting to about. Let me make this a little bit smaller so you guys can see the full window. You can argue that these rates are already below 5.75. You can also say, though, look at this. When we saw this dip right here in conventional, notice that all the Govy rates really haven't changed, because lenders aren't trying to spur the volume. So Tim Clarla said that they've been in the deep freeze up there in Michigan, and that in the 2 weeks that it was warm, there was already activity. So yeah, I believe that, man. Thank you, Harry Dennis. Appreciate you, sir. Ron Siegel thinks rates can get down to 5.5, maybe 5.75, 5.5 with points. Ron, I don't think we'd have to see the 10-year at 3.75 to get to 5.5. I don't think the spreads will get that much lower between mortgage-backed securities and the 10-year. We'd have to look. Logan tracks that really closely, what the spread is. I know the spread's been much, much better historically. And remember, historically, compared to where we're at right now compared to where we were at, refinances, y'all, are out there. Refinance numbers, the volume is not nearly what it was a long time ago. But I mean, the volume a long time ago, wow, that's really useful, Hammer, during say COVID, right? But I mean, the numbers are there. People are refinancing, but look at this. We've got that nice window. This is kind of what you want to show them. Like, hey, don't get greedy. Yeah, we could get a little bit lower, but don't wait, because we don't know if and when or what's going to push us there. That we can kind of use as a drum in into the State of the Union. Again, I'm not going to go too deep on this one. Should we be charging points or no? Mike, that really is a situation by situation thing, but I think charging points now, depending on the rate sheet, the lender, how much value you're getting for those points, you're going to see some nice windows. You got to look at the pricing windows, and you're going to see some nice windows where paying some points could pay off, could get people down there. And, it's not that we won't see, but I could pay points. Now, here's the other thing, though. I would also argue if it's a refi, I would do no-cost refis, keep the rate a little bit higher, and set yourself up for refis for 6 months or a year from now for the consumer if rates go lower, and they can continue to drop rates. So for purchases, I think points could make more sense. For refis, because for purchases, they have to lay out the closing costs. It doesn't always make a lot of sense to refinance unless you're making a more significant dip for a purchase, right? After you lay out all that money. But for a refi, I would be looking at maybe, no out of pocket. We used to call them no cost refis, but people are always like, oh, you're paying it somewhere. Like, this is a new concept. Yes, you're paying it somewhere. You're paying it with the rebate in the rate. But no out of pocket refis. I think that way, especially it's easier to sell somebody in the idea that, hey, if rates do drop another half point, then we'll do it again. Then maybe that's where things go. But I think now's a good time to do that one up. Hope that one helps. Rob Stewart, happy birthday to your daughter, my friend. Appreciate the birthday wishes as well. Harry Dennis said mid-fives could be great for purchases and debt consolidation refis with $1 trillion credit card debts. Yeah. Well, and even without those rates being there, people are starting to drown. Again, we're not going to go too deep into politics, but I don't care how many times Trump wants to stand up and, he does his Trump thing. Very, very similar to what Steve Jobs did. And they used to call it the the reality distortion field, right? He's going to come up. Our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, stronger. Affordability is not an issue. Everybody can buy everything. Things are great. This whole 401k thing, I think, is a dumb idea. But again, that's more political than anything. Kudos to SCOTUS for being there. Shame on the Democrats for not standing. But you know what? It's the Democrats this time. When Biden was in office, the Republicans were scumbags about the whole thing. I think that they all act like childish high school, middle school things. This two-party system is garbage. You know what? I'm just tired of all of them. Tired of all of them. I think they all need to suck it up and be good humans and stop being little bitches. So that's my take. There you go. Sorry. Well, couldn't take it there. Ron's quoting high fours with points. I mean, think about it. If you're quoting fours with points, that's sexy. That is sexy. Anyone else quoting fours with points? Let me know in the comments. I'm very curious about that. Mike said just picked up $2,000 by raising the rate an eighth of a point. And again, especially depending on loan amount, that's huge. That's huge. I mean, that's a piece of the puzzle that we don't really know, so we can't figure out what it's changing the payment and but think about that, right? So, definitely look for that. Ron says charge points if you can get the seller to pay them for a permanent buy down. Yeah, definitely. Now's a permanent buy down scenario. No more temporary buy downs. I wouldn't be looking at temporary buy downs like we were a couple years ago. Now's a permanent buy down scenario. I know what salesman does not embellish to some extent, and what politician just doesn't downright lie. Exactly. Again, I'm not faulting the guy. I don't really care. I didn't sit and watch the State of the Union. I watched the State of the Union anytime in my entire life. I don't care who's doing it because I know what it's going to be, and I just don't have the patience for any of that. I'll read about it the next day. But, as far as have we won affordability? No, people are still struggling to buy homes. But you know what? Homes are moving. The market is stable. Rates are stable. Home prices are stable. I know that more people want to be able to buy a house, and it's hard. Young people are going to need to get help from parents and grandparents. That's what we did in my family. It's what people are going to need to do, or else they're going to have to wait until they're 40 years old to buy a house. It's just different. We look back at how it was and say, oh, well, it's broken. It's not broken. It is what it is. It's what it has to be. Events have gotten us here. We can't crash the housing market and crash the economy and trash the labor market so that we can bring home prices down. Nobody will have a job to buy them. So keep that on there. Harry Dennis said mid fives are great for purchase. Yeah, we hit that one. Thank you, Derek Malilia. Hope your world is doing well, man. Yes, Vicky McSweeney, it is right. Today is my birthday. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up, y'all. And it's been a good time. So again, let's go ahead and talk about it. Question of the day one more time. If you haven't answered it, and let's go back and look at the answers. Ron Siegel said today is National Chocolate Covered Nut Day. What was your favorite chocolate covered nuts? Let's go back and look at some of the answers. Tim Klyla is looking for turtles, so he wants to see. He's getting greedy, baby, and I support it. Nicole Semerad says almonds, chocolate covered almonds. Angela Walters is chocolate covered peanuts. Again, I'm a chocolate covered walnuts. Mike Schmolgen, dark chocolate cashews. I love the idea of dark chocolate. Ron Siegel says sometimes you feel like a nut. Ron, I feel like a nut all the time, my friend. Tom Deadmore, dark chocolate covered almonds. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. I'm not a milk chocolate. Ron Siegel, love Reese's. Ron, I don't know when the last time you've had one is, but social media has made a big thing out of it. Reese's, they're messing again. They're saving pennies to save millions of dollars. They've changed their formula, and Reese's are shit. They taste like shit. They're chalky. The peanut butter is gross. Thank goodness they've done that. It's helped me because now I don't eat them anymore. Peanut M&Ms. So that's chocolate covered peanuts. What else do y'all like? Good morning, Zane. Zane, what's your favorite chocolate covered? Y'all are going almonds. I see that. Chocolate covered almonds from Christy Resort as well. And thank y'all for the birthday wishes. Rob Wilson is live now, but you have to watch your replay. Rob, you didn't miss much, but yeah, you can watch it at double speed. So, all right, my friends, 20 minutes in, it's time to wrap it up. Thanks again for joining me. Appreciate y'all. Tomorrow's not going to be much different to talk about. We'll have jobless claims in the morning. We'll see where everything else could be. But I got the cats here. That's why I'm distracted. They're both sitting on my desk here, being friendly. And there's not much else to see though. So it'll be pretty boring day. So rates are this is it, man. Get out there and get that business. So all right, my friends, I'm gonna wrap it up. Y'all have a fantastic one. And thank you again. Bye-bye.